What were they thinking seems to be the theme this week in cruise news. Hello, my friends. Well, unless you've been living under a rock, you've already heard about the passengers who were left stranded on Hawaii's Big Island during a tsunami. But let me kick this off with something you might not have heard yet because it was just announced yesterday. Yet it will probably sound very familiar to you because it's pretty much all we've heard from Royal Caribbean about their private destination on Labadee, Haiti. Yes, you guessed it, they've extended the period of time in which they will not be visiting Labadee due to intense, deadly gang violence and a level 4 do not travel advisory from the U.S. State Department. Royal Caribbean invested $55 million into Labadee and wants to be able to show it off to cruise passengers, but no one wants to take that level of risk when they're on a cruise. At least, not me. How about you? As always, I love to hear from you in the comments below, and while you're at it, please hit that subscribe button because I'm completely unsponsored and I pay for all my trips the same as you do so that I can stay unbiased. And as you can see in all of my videos, I keep my face out of the frame because I don't want any crews recognizing me so that you know when I review something, I'm getting the same treatment that you would. If you like unbiased, unsponsored content, please hit that subscribe button and I thank you. And when it comes to Labadee, all I can say is a thank you to Royal Caribbean for acting out of caution and not risking the lives of passengers. Because going along with today's theme of what were they thinking, Royal Caribbean wouldn't want to be saying that in hindsight if they didn't cancel this destination while it's under a level 4 do not travel advisory. This is not the first cancellation of this port in its itineraries at all. In fact, the last time Royal Caribbean visited the port was this past spring, and now they're extending those cancellations through to October. But I'm sure you agree I'm a little sus that they'll ever visit Labadee again at this point. And yes, that was a Gen Xer you heard using a Gen Z term, so let me know how I did. Getting back to tsunami news from earlier this week, in case you haven't heard, cruise ships docked in Hawaii were ordered out to sea on Tuesday following tsunami warnings triggered by a powerful 8.8 magnitude earthquake in Russia. While the resulting waves caused less damage than anticipated, and it ended up fortunately being pretty much of a nothing burger, some passengers on shore excursions were left behind as their ships sailed away for safety. And of course, everyone is playing the blame game. But my friends, what it really comes down to is the fact that the ocean is a beautiful but very dangerous beast. What do you think? Post your comment below because I always love to hear your thoughts on these headlines. While docked in Hilo, many passengers were on shore excursions, including the one that was headed to Volcanoes National Park. While en route to the park, a tsunami alert was sent from the National Weather Service, advising people to move to higher ground. The bus continued to the park because, and I can say this based on experience, tsunami alerts are not that unusual at all in Hawaii. But when the bus arrived, National Park staff urged the bus to return to the ship because the situation was escalating. You see, NCL was being told that they needed to leave the port because during a tsunami, the ship might slam into the shoreline, leading to truly disastrous consequences. So to avoid that risk, Hawaiian officials directed all vessels to leave port. NCL didn't have a choice in the matter, and the passengers on that particular bus, among other passengers who were still ashore, were left behind. While it sounds as if I'm defending NCL because they simply weren't given a choice in the matter, I cannot imagine how stressful it must have been for the passengers to be stranded on Hawaii during a tsunami. Following the ship's departure, the passengers were transported uphill to wait at Waiakea High School, where they spent the night sleeping on the gymnasium floor or aboard their tour buses, according to sources. Norwegian Cruise Line reported that the Pride of America remained offshore awaiting clearance to return to port and retrieve the passengers. By Wednesday morning, local authorities lifted the tsunami advisory and gave the all clear, signaling an end to the immediate threat, and NCL was able to pick up their stranded passengers. While I know people always want to find someone to blame in these instances, it's important to remember that none of us can control Mother Nature, and when these extremely rare situations occur, most people are just trying to do the best they can. In other news, a viral video captured the dramatic moment when a cruise ship passenger tumbled over the edge of an infinity pool on Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas. striking a railing before landing on a narrow section of guttering, avoiding a much more serious fall. The footage shows the individual leaning dangerously far over the glass barrier of the pool, reportedly in an attempt to retrieve a pair of sunglasses. As they lose balance, they flipped forward and hit the safety railing before landing on the gutter below. Now this is the part that frustrates me, and perhaps you too. Had they slipped past the guttering, they could have fallen several decks down to a children's pool area on a lower level of the ship. A children's pool. You know, I try to share these stories not from a place of judgment, but from a place of empathy and understanding. Because we are all human and we all make mistakes and bad judgment calls sometimes. And it's one thing to be willing to risk your own life over a pair of sunglasses. But what I find questionable is when people are willing to risk the lives of other people. Am I the only one thinking this? Let me know. And it makes me wonder how many of these types of mistakes are going to have to be made before cruise lines start banning people for this kind of behavior when it puts other people at risk. Remarkably, the passenger escaped without injury, thank goodness, and the Icon of the Seas continued its scheduled voyage from the Bahamas and returned safely to its home port in Miami, Florida. But as always happens with these kinds of incidents, it is raising new concerns about onboard safety measures, particularly at high-risk areas like infinity pools, which I find amusing to hear because this is a ship we're talking about, and everything is a high-risk area because you are surrounded by water. This story also comes at a challenging time for Royal Caribbean as the company continues to deal with a string of troubling events. Just last week, the same ship, Icon of the Seas, was the site of a violent attack in which a female crew member was repeatedly stabbed, allegedly by a male colleague, who later jumped overboard to his death. The woman survived and was hospitalized in stable condition following the assault. Meanwhile, another Royal Caribbean vessel, the Navigator of the Seas, experienced a gastrointestinal outbreak earlier this month, sickening 140 passengers. So while a month ago I was saying that Carnival was having a bad string of luck, apparently that has shifted and now Royal Caribbean is stuck in the crosshairs. But now on to some good news for a change. Norwegian Cruise Line has revealed exciting new plans for its private island, Great Stirrup Cay in the Bahamas, headlined by the debut of Great Tides Water Park, a nearly 6-acre aquatic attraction set to open in the summer of 2026. Are you looking forward to this as much as I am? This expansive edition will include 19 water slides, a nearly 800-foot-long dynamic river, and numerous other activities that aim to enhance the guest experience by offering a wide range of adventurous and relaxing options, from cliff jumps and swim-up bars to kids splash zones and scenic lounging areas. They'll also be debuting some cruise industry firsts, including the Cliffside Cove, featuring 2 cliff jumps at heights of 10 and 15 feet, the first of their kind on any cruise line's private island. A family slide that allows up to 4 people to slide down together. The Grotto Bar, a hidden cave-style cocktail bar beneath the family slide, offering the perfect spot for onlookers to relax and take in the action. There will also be family-friendly zones, including a 9,000 square foot splash zone with an enormous tipping bucket over 40 feet tall and 8 kid-sized slides. I can't say that. And 8 kid-sized slides. I got it. A dynamic river experience offering faster currents than a standard lazy river. I'm totally on board for that. Complete with multiple entry points, a wading pool, and a nearby swim-up bar. A highlight of the river is a bioluminescent-inspired grotto tunnel designed to create a mesmerizing sensory experience for guests floating through. That sounds extremely curious to me, and I can't wait to check it out. This is great news to those people who were hoping for an upgrade to Great Stirrup Cay, but others might take exception to this news because it does sound like it might make this private island getaway a little more chaotic than they would prefer. How about you? Post your comment below because I'd love to hear what you think of Norwegians' plans for Great Stirrup Cay. And as always, thank you so much for watching, for commenting, for subscribing, and for making this channel such a wonderful, supportive community. I'm so grateful for you.